Hey there everyone, welcome back to Gamevine, and my name is David, and today we are reviewing the game called Polterfass, produced by Zoc. Now this game comes all the way over from Germany, and it is a dice roller that doesn't really use dice. Instead it takes these little barrels and puts numbers at the end of them, and this is what you're going to be rolling on your turn. Well, if you're the innkeeper. Now, when I first seen this game, it was at my friendly local game store, and I looked over, and these people were rolling these barrels in this cup, and I seen the art on the box, which is pretty appealing. I like the direction that Zoc went, and they always have this kind of whimsical kind of art on their box, and they go with a blue and green palette most of the time, and they did the same on this box, but that's not a bad thing. Again, it drew me in when I seen these barrels and the art on the box. Now, Polterfass is a dice roller, but I would say it's more of kind of like a party game dice roller. It's best in bigger groups, and the loosely based theme is you are an innkeeper on your turn when you're rolling the barrels, and your friends are the people coming in and buying drinks. Now, you want to serve these drinks to your friends, and by doing so, you might get points, and they might get points. That's where the game comes into some kind of confusion, though once you pick it up, it's easy to understand. Now, I want to say this game is fast and incredibly light, but when I try to explain it, most people look at me for a second and they go, what? How do I get points, and what do I do here? So it takes a second or two to grasp, and maybe a playthrough once or twice to really get good at it. So without further ado, let me show you these cool components, and then I'll show you how to play, and I'll explain myself a little further. Let's go. So here are the contents that come in this box. Zoc always does a great job when it comes to the production, which sometimes leads into a more pricier of game. But the first thing that we have up on the docket are these cool little coasters. Now, they feel like a different texture, almost like a newspaper kind of paper mache texture to them, and they're done pretty well, and they all have the same emblem. Each player is going to get one of these. Then we're going to go over to the cards, and they're standard thickness there, but they are, I think, a linen finish, and they have great art of the barrels on the back, and each one of them have the same numbers on them, and you get those in 6 different colors. Then we have the barrels, which are really cool. You have light ones with numbers on them, different ones there, and then these 2 dark ones which have shiny ink on them. I mean, those are just the coolest components that I've seen in a pretty good while when it comes to like little wooden components. I just love these. And then we have the plastic cup here, very heavy duty one. It has felt in the middle, so it stifles some of the noise. Great choice. And then you have these inserts here. Now, again, it comes with a good amount, but you're probably going to need to make copies and keep one on reserve. So those are all the components minus the rules. Now let me show you how to play this game. So I have the game set up here for 3 players. I do want to mention that this game is about pressing your luck and or bluffing, depending on your role. If you're the innkeeper, you want to press your luck and keep rolling these barrels. And if you are the visitors, you want to bluff or tell the truth and try to get as many barrels via points that you can. So on your turn, quite simply, you're going to determine who the innkeeper is, and they're going to take all these barrels and they're going to put them in this cup and roll them. So the goal of the game is to try to make the barrels stand up. So these barrels have stood up, and I would lock these light barrels, and I cannot roll those anymore. And these special barrels, of course, I will execute them if I want to, but any of these barrels that lay down, the innkeeper will have the option to re-roll those. The other thing I want to say is you can re-roll these special barrels if you want. Let's go over what the barrels have on them number-wise. There is one that has a 4 and a 7. There's one that has a 6 and a 2, and there's one that has a 3 and an 8 on it, which there are 2 of each one. And this special barrel with the cool ink, this is a doubler and this is canceller. So if you get one of those 2, you have to execute whatever it is. You would have to double one of the barrels, and or if you get a canceller, you have to cancel one of the barrels. Now that is how the barrels work and how they're broke down. So on the first roll, this is what I got. Now you will stop the phase, and the people who are not the innkeeper will play cards in front of them. They can choose to play 1 or 2 cards. I'll show you on my hand here. And they're broke down from 0 to 7, and you can play 13 maximum if you want to. So right now we stop play, and these 2 players are going to play, let's say, just these cards here. So there are 3 cards that are up right now. Now this is the last time anyone can play cards. Now the innkeeper is going to take over for the rest of the phase. What they're going to do is decide if they want to re-roll any of these barrels. Again, you can re-roll these if you want to, but these are doublers, so I'm going to keep them. So I will re-roll these here. So let's do that. And I'm trying to make these stand. Now as long as one barrel is standing, I can continue to keep rolling. So I will do that and keep these, and why not? Let's press my luck and go for one more. Come on, standing barrels. And now this innkeeper has busted. Now that is one of the ways the round can end. The other way that the round can end is, let's say one of these stood up, he would claim it, and now you would go to the end round phase where you would do the scoring. Now 2 of these scoring methods are easy to comprehend, but the third one is kind of wonky. Let me get into how those work. Let's go. So of course, as I've shown you, one of the ways that the round can end is the innkeeper busting, and in that case you would just put a 0 here. You're always going to keep tab of what the barrel count is, and this is how you would score that method. The people that put cards in front of them will just simply score whatever card that they had in front of them. So this person would get 5 points, and this person right here, they went big and they got 7 points. So let's say Chris went 7 and Trevor went 5. So those are the points that were delegated out this round when the innkeeper has busted, and of course I would put a 0 here because I was the innkeeper. The second way that the round can end, like I shown you, is the innkeeper stops and takes whatever count that he has, and I'll go over with these barrels here. So you would of course add up all these barrels. Let's do that right now. I'll double this, which is 16. I'll double this, which is 26, 30, 40 points. So in this scoring case, I have 40 points, and we already seen what they had out, which was a 5 and a 7, so that adds up to be 12. And in this case, I was able to satisfy what the visitors want. And again, the people that lay down cards would score what they have out in front of them. Quite simple. And I, as an innkeeper, now get points. I get the difference of whatever is left on the barrel. So that's why you would want to push your luck and get these high numbers and the doublers, because right here, I just made 28 points, which is pretty fantastic compared to what they got on that round. So now let's go over the wonky way that you score. So the other way that you can score is if the innkeeper has stopped, and that would trigger the end of the round, and he puts up his barrel count. Let's say that it was only 9 on this particular turn, and the 2 people here have put up a number of 13. Now that is too much, and now the visitors were too greedy. This is where the innkeeper would simply just score his amount of points in barrels. He just gets that outright, so there's some good for the innkeeper. And this is where it gets a little weird. So the person that is the greediest, the yellow player here, would lose his amount that he voted in. So he loses 7 points, and this actually takes him into the negative. So he would be -2, so he would have to get out of the hole next round. But the person that voted the least amount would get his points that he was actually negated. So he doesn't get the 6 that he wanted, but he actually gets 7, so that's good for him. So he would go up 7 here, and I haven't been adding these up. He would end up with 21. So those are all 3 ways that you can score in this game. I know the last one isn't as complicated as you might think, though it does take a little bit to catch on to. You'll continue to do this process until one person gets 75 barrels, and they are considered the winner. And if somebody ties, the person with the highest amount of barrels at the end of that round is the winner. So that's how you play Polterfass. Now let's give this game a grade and tell you what I think. So the game of Polterfass is going to get a letter or a percentage grade, and I settled on a 78 for this game, which is a high C. I really like this game, and it's one of those pressure luck kind of bluffing games that really caters to what I like. The dice, this is a really ambitious and an innovative take on that. I am kind of prone to liking this because I've made kind of a prototype in my head. I know I shouldn't be making games, but it involved barrels, so when I seen this game, I was like, oh man, yes, it's such a cool component, and it drew me in. So I have a small spice up. If you want player markers, you can find these in any Hobby Lobby store or any kind of hobby store, and you can make the colors and wear them, and you can have a player marker. It doesn't really matter, it's very arbitrary, whatever, you can throw them out, but there's a small spice up for you. I know, I've been doing that a lot here, but there you go. So I have the dice tower here because I wanted to see if these barrels would stand up if they roll any other way, and no, they won't. But that's okay. I mean, they did a good job with the components, and these coasters really absorb the shock, and this really silenced the noise from the cup, and they stand up most of the time, not in that occasion. But yes, this game is fun, and I think this is a good one for any kind of person when it comes to gaming. A light gamer, a hardcore gamer, though I would say that this is a good game for repeat offenders, not the first time player, because the first game you're going to get into it and you're going to try to feel it out and see how am I getting points and when should I press my luck or how much should I bluff. And that's going to be a throwaway game. But if you play this multiple times, that's when the laughter really comes out, because you want that person to bust when you're not the innkeeper. And that's when you can kind of gauge when it's good to press your luck as the innkeeper. So I would say this is a game that you would want to keep around and bust out from fortnight to fortnight or monthly, and you could have a really good party experience for a dice roller in your family or for any hardcore gamer. I think that this has a great range to it. Now, range in players really does dramatically alter the game. So in a 3-player game, you're going to be playing the highest numbers as you can. Now in a 6-player game, you don't want to do that because you've seen the highest number that I got as an innkeeper on this video was a 40. So think if every player is playing 2 cards and equaling up to 8 in a 6-player game. I mean, they're going to be greedy almost every time. So there is that you have to get used to too. So playing this game one time at a 3-player set is going to be way different than playing it at a 6-player set. I think this was a great idea. The components are just spot on, and it's quite simple except for the one scoring kind of debacle that is in there when you lose points and the other person gains points. But if that doesn't happen too often, then you can really just blow through this game and get to that 75-point mark. And I mean, I don't have that many gripes when it comes to this, other than the learning curve and maybe that it's not a game that's going to change my life and I want to play it all the time, but it is a game that I'm always going to keep around in my collection because it's one that I'm going to refer to when people want a dice roller, but not in a traditional sense, and I can always pull this one out and they'll be kind of in awe and struck by it because they're like, what are we playing with? Because that's how I seen it when I seen other people playing it, and I was like, I have to have it. So for that factor alone, I gave this game a high C, and I just like Polterfass. So thank you so much for joining me in today's review of this luck press bluffing game. And until the next time that I see you, I've been Dave. You have a great rest of your day and a great time with all that you play. You heard it here on the Game Vine. I'm out. I almost said you heard it here on the Game Vine first. That's why I kind of stuck it. But whatever. Go out and get this game and drink while you're doing it. This is a good drinking game. There you go. Bye.